All right, well, if you travel, you might want a little wine. Wine Spectator came out with its 2023 award list, celebrating more than 3,000 restaurants that have innovated the hospitality space. But behind the scenes, innovative tech is helping restaurants elevate the customer experience while improving operations and profitability. Craftable is a technology platform that assists companies in the hospitality sector to manage their staff, inventory, sales, and anything else you can think of that goes on in the back of the house. Now, the changes in the restaurant industry are just one area that they're focused on. For more on this, let's bring in Craftable Senior Director of Restaurant Success, Russ Spencer, to discuss more. Thank you for joining us this morning, Russ. So as we've seen that obviously people still want to go out to eat, but as they tighten their purse strings, what do restaurants need to do then in terms of the customer experience to really keep them spending?
Wow, thank you for having me. I look forward to having this conversation. So we've seen a shift in business. So I think sales are coming back to a pre-COVID environment. So it's really that it's shifted. So now we're starting to understand how customers are migrating to different times of the day or different segments within the business. So maybe more carry out or family meals. And so I think it's really imperative for our restaurants to really understand the behavior of their customers and how to maximize their profits with those customers.
I mean, I've noticed that, when I go out to a restaurant, some of the customer service isn't quite what it was pre-pandemic. I think people are stretched quite thin. What should some of these companies and restaurants be aware of when they're thinking of the front of the house and people who are going to be that front-facing person direct to the consumer?
Well, it's funny. I think most people remember how they feel more than they taste, right? So it's all about creating that emotional connection with the customer and creating the memories together. And what we're finding is the consumer today, so Gen Z, primarily and the millennials, are more related to a brand and a story and a connection with that customer. And while the cost of goods have gone up and inflation's taken a big impact on our industry, it is very interesting to watch customers continue to funnel back into their favorite restaurants and repeat and increase frequency. And again, it's all based off of that emotional connection they have. We just got to learn how to make money off of them. As inflation's gone up, it's been a struggle for all of us.
Indeed. And I mean, a lot of, restaurants are struggling with, should I pay for, an Uber Eats or delivery or some kind of company to do that as another cost? Plus, when you factor in labor costs as well, what are some of the tech innovations that restaurants should be honing in on to really help profitability, but keep the flow of business coming?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really two ways to support that. So I always look at, we want to change the customer behavior, right? So we want to encourage them to order when we want them to order and order what we want them to order. But at the same time, we need to be able to manage our own behaviors, which is really focused on reducing the waste within our business. It said about 4 to 10% of purchases that walk through the back door are wasted before they ever even hit the plate. So how can we use tech to identify the opportunities, mark the spot within the business to drill down into those opportunities and reduce that waste? At the same time, continuing to encourage the customers to come in when we want them to come in and order what we want them to order, which is what drives most profit to the bottom line. And it's almost impossible to do that if you don't have a pulse on every purchase coming through the back door and every sale going out the front door and being able to monitor that.
And that's one of the roles that a lot of people are hoping for with AI, sort of to better track what's in demand, what to order, especially when people do have the option to, buy their groceries and spend money at home. When you look at the options that people have from buying their own food versus and thinking about inflation versus the inflation that they pay at restaurants, where are we now in that balance?
People are still eating out. I mean, they're going out for the connection and they don't mind spending the money. But again, I think the value has to be there. And value isn't always measured by how much it costs. It's measured, did you get what you thought you were paying for? So it's all about that connection with the experience. And I think when customers create that connection, they're willing to spend that money and funnel back into our restaurants.
So then as we broaden it out to sort of hospitality tech, what do you think is going to be some of the key themes that you're going to be keeping an eye on?
I think really it's about keeping a pulse on your business. If you migrate back, let's just say 10, 15 years ago, we relied on sales to make money. And so the money was in the business just by pushing sales through the front door and cash flow and 10% to the bottom line. Where we've seen inflation increase by as much as 7 to 10% in cost of goods and labor, all of a sudden we're struggling to really drive profit. So it's about keeping a pulse on your business and understanding where those cost of goods are, when your customers are coming in. What are your customers ordering? I always like to jokingly say, if I go to a concept, let's just say like Panera Bread, and I don't visit them for 2 or 3 weeks, they remind me to come back by using their artificial intelligence to track my purchases and how often I've been in. What do I order? So it's really about understanding your customers and how often they come in, what are they ordering? And then again, monitoring and measuring that profit from the back door all the way through the front door.
And Russ, I want to ask you about AI sort of as either a co-pilot or sort of supporting some of these restaurants, because anytime we talk about AI, you think about streamlining and job losses. You're seeing a lot more companies sort of having these big monitors. You can sort of order directly while you're in the restaurant. What are you seeing in terms of either the threat or how you see AI really shaping the future of the labor market when it comes to restaurants?
Well, the number one challenge every restaurant struggles with is staffing. So I think it's beneficial to our businesses to really embrace that AI and bring it into their business. And how can they increase efficiency and increase speeds within their operations and reduce, turnover within their staff. And, the number one challenge every restaurant has, again, is staffing. And the best way to resolve staffing is not need staff, right? So if we can replace some of the staff with AI and then be more efficient with the staff that we have, then we don't have that need anymore. And again, it's not that we're looking to replace as much as we just don't have the staff out there to be able to employ the restaurants. As we've seen sales increase, many of the operators are not able to operate at full capacity just because they're not staffed.
Indeed. Well, a big thank you for joining me this morning. Craftable Senior Director of Restaurant Success, Russ Spencer. Thank you for your time.